Sarah worked for 37 years as a high school principal. She had hundreds of colleagues, managed busy schedules, and was surrounded by people from dawn to dusk. 6 months into retirement, she called me crying, saying 5 words that broke my heart. "I feel completely invisible now." My modern and unstoppable seniors, if you've ever felt that crushing silence after decades of busy, purposeful days, if you've wondered where all the people went when the work stopped, if retirement feels more like isolation than liberation, then what I'm about to share could transform your next chapter, from lonely to legendary. But first, if you're new to Wellness for Modern Seniors, hit that subscribe button right now. We're building a community where no senior feels forgotten or invisible, and I want you to be part of this movement. Ring that notification bell too, because this conversation could change everything. Here's the truth nobody talks about: retirement. Loneliness is an epidemic, but it's not inevitable. The problem isn't that you're getting older, it's that we've been given completely wrong advice about how to find connection and purpose after our careers end. I spent 2 years researching this, talking to hundreds of retirees, studying the ones who were thriving versus those who were merely surviving. What I discovered will surprise you. The happiest retirees weren't the ones with the most money, the best health, or even the largest families. They were the ones who understood 5 unexpected keys to happiness that go against everything our culture tells us about successful aging. These aren't the typical suggestions you'll hear. Join a book club, take up golf, spend time with grandchildren. Those things are nice, but they're not the real secret. The real secret lies in understanding what you actually lost when you retired. And it's not what you think. Before we dive in, I want you to do something. In the comments below, tell me, how long have you been retired, and what's the biggest surprise about retirement life? Type month 1 if you're brand new, year 1 if you're in your first year, or veteran if you've been retired for years. I want to understand where you are in this journey. The first unexpected key completely flips traditional retirement advice on its head. The fastest way to stop feeling lonely is to stop focusing on your own loneliness. Let me tell you about Robert, a retired accountant who spent his first year of retirement trying everything the experts recommended. Senior center activities, hobby clubs, coffee meetups with other retirees. He was still miserable. Then his neighbor mentioned that the local food bank was desperately short-staffed on weekday mornings. Robert figured he had nothing to lose, so he volunteered for 4 hours a week. Within a month, something remarkable happened. Robert wasn't just helping stock shelves. He was training new volunteers, organizing distribution schedules, and becoming someone people depended on again. The loneliness didn't just fade, it disappeared completely. Here's why this works, my unstoppable seniors. When you retired, you didn't just lose a job. You lost your sense of being needed. You lost the feeling that your actions mattered to other people's lives. You lost what psychologists call social utility, the knowledge that you make a difference. The paradox is this: when you focus on solving other people's problems, you automatically solve your own loneliness problem. Because suddenly you're not just filling time, you're filling a genuine need in the world. This doesn't mean you have to volunteer at a food bank. Maybe you tutor kids who are struggling with reading. Maybe you help elderly neighbors with technology. Maybe you mentor young entrepreneurs starting their first businesses. The magic happens when you shift from "what can I get" to "what can I give," from "who will spend time with me" to "who needs what I have to offer." If you're feeling isolated, right now ask yourself, what skill, knowledge, or experience do I have that could genuinely help someone else? The answer to that question is your pathway out of loneliness. Hit that like button if this perspective is shifting something for you, because we're just getting started. The second unexpected key challenges another piece of conventional wisdom. It's not about meeting more people. It's about connecting more deeply with the right people. Most retirement social advice focuses on quantity. Join multiple clubs, attend every event, say yes to every invitation. But here's what I learned from studying the happiest retirees. They typically had smaller social circles than when they were working, but those relationships were significantly deeper and more meaningful. Let me share Margaret's story. She's 73 and moved to a new city to be closer to her daughter. For months, she tried the shotgun approach: book club, gardening club, bridge club, walking group. She was busy, but still felt lonely because every conversation stayed at surface level. Then she met Eleanor at the library. They were both struggling with the same novel, started talking, and discovered they both had lived through caring for parents with dementia. That shared experience created an instant, deep connection. Instead of spreading herself thin across multiple groups, Margaret focused on building a real friendship with Eleanor. They started meeting for coffee twice a week, not just to socialize, but to have conversations that mattered. They talked about loss, about fears, about hopes for their remaining years. Within 6 months, Margaret felt more connected and less lonely than she had in years, with just one new deep friendship. My modern and unstoppable seniors, here's the truth. Loneliness isn't caused by being alone. It's caused by feeling unknown and ununderstood. You can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely if those relationships never go beneath the surface. The connection multiplier works like this. One person who truly knows you is worth more than 10 people who only know your name. One friend who understands your struggles is more valuable than a dozen acquaintances who only know your hobbies. Stop trying to meet everyone. Start trying to truly know someone. Look for people who share not just your interests but your experiences. People who've walked similar paths, faced similar challenges, learned similar lessons. The deepest connections often come from shared struggles, not shared pleasures. Find someone who understands not just what you enjoy, but what you've overcome. Okay, my unstoppable community, we're halfway through these 5 unexpected keys, but I need your help right now. If these first 2 insights are resonating with you, if they're giving you a new way to think about connection and purpose in retirement, then please hit that like button. Leave a comment and tell me, which key hit you harder? The purpose paradox, about helping others, or the connection multiplier about going deeper instead of wider? I want to know what's working for you. And if you haven't subscribed to Wellness for Modern Seniors yet, what are you waiting for? We're building a community of people who refuse to let retirement mean irrelevance, and I want you to be part of this movement. Because what's coming next is going to challenge everything you think you know about staying young at heart and finding your tribe after 60. Keys 3 and 4 are about to reveal why the happiest retirees break the rules. Everyone else follows. The third unexpected key is going to shock you because it goes against everything we're told about retirement friendships. Some of your most meaningful connections will come from people who are decades younger than you. I know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have in common with someone in their 30s or 40s? But here's what I discovered from the happiest retirees. They weren't limiting themselves to age-segregated friendships. Let me tell you about Walter, 78 years old, who was struggling with retirement loneliness until he started volunteering at a community workshop that teaches woodworking skills. Most of the participants were young fathers wanting to learn to build furniture for their kids. At first, Walter felt out of place, but something magical happened when these younger men discovered that Walter had been a master carpenter for 40 years. Suddenly, he wasn't the old guy in the corner. He was the mentor everyone wanted to learn from. These relationships weren't one-sided charity. While Walter shared his decades of craftsmanship knowledge, these younger fathers shared their energy, their fresh perspectives, and their enthusiasm. They invited Walter to family barbecues, asked for his advice on everything from home repairs to life decisions, and treated him like a beloved grandfather figure. Walter told me, "These young men saved my retirement. They made me feel relevant." Again, not just old. My modern and unstoppable seniors, here's the breakthrough insight. Age segregation isn't natural. It's cultural. Throughout most of human history, different generations lived, worked, and socialized together. The idea that you should only be friends with people your own age is a modern invention that's making us all lonelier. Younger people bring energy, optimism, and new ideas. Older people bring wisdom, perspective, and life experience. When these connect, magic happens for both sides. But here's the key. Don't approach intergenerational friendships as a charity case where you're just giving advice. Approach them as mutual exchanges where you're both teaching and learning. Maybe you join a hiking group that welcomes all ages. Maybe you take a class at a community college. Maybe you volunteer for causes that attract younger people who share your values. The secret is to show up not as the senior, but as someone with unique knowledge and genuine curiosity about what others bring to the table. Comment below and tell me, what's one skill or area of knowledge you have that younger people might genuinely benefit from learning? Let's start thinking about how your expertise could become a bridge to meaningful connections. The fourth unexpected key completely challenges the traditional retirement dream. The happiest retirees don't have the most flexible schedules, they have the most intentional ones. Here's what nobody tells you about retirement. After decades of structured work life, complete freedom can feel like prison. Without deadlines, meetings, and obligations, many retirees find themselves drifting through days that feel meaningless and disconnected. But the solution isn't to stay busy with random activities, it's to create what I call chosen structure. Routines and commitments that you design around connection and purpose. Let me share David's transformation. He retired as a bank manager and spent his first 6 months celebrating his freedom. Sleep in whenever he wanted, golf when the weather was nice, watch TV when he felt like it. By month 7, he was more depressed and isolated than he'd ever been in his life. Then David did something that changed everything. He created what he called his connection calendar. Every Monday, he volunteered at the literacy center. Every Wednesday, he had coffee with his neighbor Tom, who was also struggling with retirement. Every Friday, he attended a history discussion group at the library. These weren't random activities. They were chosen commitments that guaranteed weekly human interaction around things he cared about. But here's the genius part. David scheduled these connections at the same times every week. This consistency meant that people could count on him, and he could count on seeing familiar faces regularly. Relationships deepened because of this predictable rhythm. My unstoppable seniors, this is crucial. Loneliness often comes from unpredictability. In social connection, when you don't know when you'll next have meaningful human interaction, anxiety and isolation build. But when you know that every Monday you'll see Maria at the literacy center, every Wednesday you'll catch up with Tom over coffee, every Friday you'll debate history with your discussion group, suddenly you have anchor points of connection throughout your week. The routine revolution isn't about filling every moment. It's about creating reliable touchstones of human connection that give your week shape and your relationships time to grow. Here's how to implement this. Choose 2 to 3 regular commitments that involve other people and that align with your values or interests. Make them weekly at the same time, in the same place. Commit to showing up consistently for at least 3 months because meaningful relationships need time and predictability to develop. The magic happens when people start expecting you, when your absence would be noticed, when you become a reliable part of other people's weeks too. What's one weekly commitment you could make that would guarantee regular, meaningful contact with other people? Think about it, because this single decision could transform your entire retirement experience. Now, what I'm about to share with you in our final key is the most counterintuitive insight of all, and it comes from studying retirees who not only overcame loneliness, but became happier in retirement than they ever were during their working years. It's about a fundamental identity shift that changes everything. From seeing yourself as someone whose best days are behind them, to recognizing that your most authentic, connected, purposeful life might just be beginning. But before we get there, I need you to take action on what we've covered so far. If you're getting value from these unexpected keys to happiness, hit that like button right now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that retirement loneliness isn't inevitable. And if you haven't subscribed to Wellness for Modern Seniors, please do it now. We're proving every day that getting older doesn't mean getting isolated, and I want you to be part of this community. Your engagement tells YouTube that these conversations matter, that seniors deserve content that treats them as vibrant, growing, evolving people, rather than just consumers of healthcare products and nostalgia. The final key we're about to explore will challenge everything you believe about what it means to be over the hill versus just getting started. The fifth and most powerful key to overcoming retirement loneliness is going to completely transform how you see yourself. The happiest retirees don't see retirement as the end of their story. They see it as the beginning of their most authentic chapter. Let me tell you about Dorothy, who retired at 67 after 30 years as a corporate accountant. For the first year, when people asked what she did, she would say, "I'm a retired accountant." She defined herself by what she used to be, not who she was becoming. Dorothy felt invisible because she was making herself invisible. She was introducing herself as someone whose productive life was over. Then something shifted. Dorothy had always loved photography but never had time to pursue it seriously. She started taking evening classes, joining photography walks, entering local contests. 6 months later, when someone asked what she did, her answer changed everything. "I'm a photographer," she said, not "I'm retired," not "I used to be an accountant." She claimed her new identity with confidence. The response was immediate and dramatic. Instead of polite nods and quick subject changes, people became curious. They asked about her work, wanted to see her photos, invited her to document their family events. Dorothy went from being dismissed as just another retiree to being sought after as a creative professional. My modern and unstoppable seniors, here's the revolutionary truth. You are not a former anything. You are not someone whose best days are behind them. You are someone who now has the freedom to become who you were always meant to be. The loneliness you feel isn't because you're old. It's because you're introducing yourself as someone whose story is over, instead of someone whose most interesting chapter is just beginning. When you retire, you don't lose your identity. You gain the opportunity to choose your identity. For the first time in decades, you're not defined by your employer, your title, or other people's expectations. You can decide who you want to be. Maybe you're not a retired teacher. You're a community historian sharing the stories of your neighborhood. Maybe you're not a former nurse. You're a wellness advocate, helping other seniors navigate health challenges. Maybe you're not an ex-engineer. You're an inventor, working on solutions to problems you've always wanted to solve. The identity revolution happens when you stop defining yourself by what you used to do for money and start defining yourself by what you choose to do with purpose. Here's your homework. Complete this sentence with something that excites you rather than something that's in your past. I am a... What fills that blank? That's not just a hobby. That's your new identity. Own it. Introduce yourself that way. Watch how differently people respond when you present yourself as someone who's actively creating rather than someone who's passively retired. Let me give you a concrete action plan that combines all 5 keys into a month-long transformation that can end your retirement loneliness for good. Week 1. The Purpose Assessment. Identify one way you can help others using skills or knowledge you already have. Research 3 organizations, causes, or opportunities where you could make a genuine difference. Make contact with one of them. Week 2. The Connection Depth Experiment. Instead of trying to meet new people, focus on deepening one existing relationship. Invite someone you know but don't know well for coffee. Ask them about their challenges, their dreams, their story. Practice going beyond surface conversation. Week 3. The Age Bridge Challenge. Find one activity, class, or volunteer opportunity that attracts people of different ages. Show up not as the senior, but as someone with valuable knowledge to share and genuine curiosity to learn. Make one meaningful connection with someone at least 10 years younger or older than you. Week 4. The Identity Declaration. Create your new chosen identity based on what you're passionate about now, not what you used to do for work. Practice introducing yourself this way to 3 different people. Notice how they respond differently when you present yourself as someone who's actively creating rather than passively retired. Daily structure. Implement one regular weekly commitment that guarantees human interaction around something you care about. Make it the same day and time each week for consistency. By the end of 30 days, you'll have created a foundation for meaningful connection that can grow into lifelong friendships and purpose. My modern and unstoppable seniors, I want to leave you with something crucial. Loneliness in retirement isn't a character flaw, it's not a sign of weakness, and it's definitely not inevitable. It's a signal that you're ready for deeper connection, greater purpose, and more authentic living than you've ever experienced before. The 5 keys we've explored today aren't just strategies. They're invitations to live more boldly, connect more deeply, and contribute more meaningfully than you ever thought possible in this stage of life. But here's what I need you to understand. Reading about these keys won't change your life. Taking action on them will. So I'm giving you a challenge. Pick one key that resonated most strongly with you, not all 5, just one. Commit to implementing it this week. Take one concrete action within the next 7 days. Then come back to this video and tell me in the comments what you did and what happened, because your story will inspire someone else who's struggling with the same loneliness you're overcoming. If this video has shifted your perspective on retirement, if it's given you hope that your best connections and most purposeful days can still be ahead of you, then I need you to do something important. First, hit that like button, because it tells YouTube that content for seniors matters, that our stories and struggles deserve attention and respect. Second, subscribe to Wellness for Modern Seniors and ring that notification bell. We're building a community of people who refuse to become invisible in retirement, who are creating the most authentic, connected, purposeful chapters of their lives. Third, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a friend who's struggling with retirement loneliness. Maybe it's an adult child who's worried about their parents. Maybe it's someone who needs to know that retirement can be the beginning of their best years, not the end. In the comments below, tell me, which of these 5 keys surprised you most, and which one are you going to implement first? Your engagement creates a ripple effect that helps other seniors find this content when they need it most. Remember, my unstoppable seniors, you're not retiring from life. You're graduating to life. You're not becoming less relevant. You're becoming more authentically yourself. You're not losing your purpose. You're choosing your purpose. The loneliness ends when you realize that your story isn't winding down. It's just getting to the best part. This is Wellness for Modern Seniors, and your most connected, purposeful, joyful chapter is waiting for you to write it. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll explore how to turn your retirement dreams into concrete plans that actually happen. Until then, remember, you're not just aging, you're awakening,